So this afternoon we are visiting Norton Priory here in Runcorn. We're going to see the Mars exhibition, which is an artwork by Jeff Garmin. And we've seen some of his other stuff, which is Gaia at Liverpool Anglican Cathedral and at Birkenhead Park and the Moon. So it should be quite interesting, and we'll see some of the rest of the stuff that's on display here at the museum. Norton Priory Museum and Gardens. So this is the most excavated medieval Monsiatic site in Europe. So this is an original medieval wall. And no, I wasn't here when it was built. So this is the ground floor exhibition here at the Priory. So these are some of the stone buildings at the Priory, and some of the first stone buildings were created in the 12th century, so in the 1100s. Norton Priory became an abbey in 1391. If you look carefully here, you can see some of the mosaic flooring that would have been there on the tiles. Not mosaic, but some of the tiled flooring. You can see so it was mosaic actually, because here's some mosaic tiles from the floor. So this piece here is the Newell Stair. So this is a piece of stone that was on one of the steps from a staircase at the Priory, one of those spiral type staircases. So along here we can see some of the artefacts that have been unearthed at Norton Priory. There's like coffin lids and lots of carvings and what the beams, but what the trusses that hold up the roof of the building and the archways and stuff would have looked like. And then here we've got a medieval pew. So this is a wooden bench that was brought to the Priory by the Brooke family in the 19th century. So this here is a replica of an effigy, which was a memorial to a knight of the Dutton family who was buried here at the Priory. Now this here is very interesting because this is some of the original flooring here from the Priory that has been excavated. It's hidden behind glass because it needs to be preserved. This gives you an idea of what the flooring would have looked like back in medieval times. Not quite as dull as we imagine medieval times to be. Here's some more of the examples here. So this here is a 17th century Flemish collector's cabinet. It's very ornate. And then what it rests upon is a George II painted and gilt side table. This is another one donated from the Brooke family. And over here we have Perry the Platypus. And this is an actual taxidermy platypus underneath. Oh my god. Where's Perry? What do you call a cat that has just eaten a duck? Do you want to know?
I know the answer.
What's the answer, Josh? What is the answer?
A duck-filled platypus.
Over here in this cabinet we have a lot of pottery and stuff from various different places. But what we also have is a famous medieval Georgian, Victorian maybe, clanger. the Georgian clangers. This is some of the stonework that was found around the Priory, showing depictions of weird people and animals and stuff. They wouldn't have been this dull, they would have been brightly painted. So here are some tombs from the Priory. With a coffin lid. Oh my god. Do not touch the coffin lid. So this guy here, this is a portrait of Thomas Brooke, one of the people who donated a lot of stuff to the Priory, and that's by Thomas Gainsborough. So this is a wooden coffin. So we've got lots of stone coffins outside, but several wooden coffins were also excavated. And then over here we have the body, the skeleton of Geoffrey Dutton, who was born about 1200. He was a knight who went on crusade from 1218 to 1220. He may have even returned with the Holy Cross of Norton, one of the Priory's most important relics. And this here is a reconstruction of what Geoffrey Dutton looked like. So here we've got some coins, a Elizabethan coin dated from 1578, some lead musket balls, and an iron cannonball which was fired at the Brooks home during the siege. So there was the Brooke family bought the land at Norton in 1545, and in 1643 they were besieged by 1,500 royalist soldiers because the Brooke family were actually parliamentarians. They were on the side of the boring people. Here's another infamous clanger. So this is a game book. The gamekeepers on the Norton escape would record any predators they had killed. Interesting. So here we have another skeleton. And this is a skeleton of an adult male who was at least 46 when he died in the 14th century. Because of where he was buried, he was probably quite an important person, but we don't know who he was. That's the stone, Lisa? Oh my god, look at the Lego! Yeah.
You can build something, mate, if you want. Yeah. There's plates as well. See the great plate on the floor.
How are you that you can't get that credit?
You are?
How are you that you can't get that credit?
Well, I'm not a tiny Lego man, so how can I ride the Lego roller coaster?
Okay, but if you were a Lego man, would you want to get that?
Yes, of course I would. It looks cool.
Yeah. I always think that I could survive the euthanasia.
You couldn't survive the euthanasia coaster. That's the whole point of it.
But every time I've seen you do that, I think I
So, yeah. So these are the medieval under things of the
medieval ovens.
They're not the medieval ovens, Joshua. So this is a passageway where important visitors like me would be welcomed to the Priory. Peasants like you would have to go through the peasant entrance.
You'd be thrown into the dungeon because you'd be mistaken for a peasant.
Thanks. They're not ovens. Why would they be ovens? Oh, these things, I think these were storage, yeah. They're not ovens, though, I don't think.
Do you reckon the medieval ones actually had that Lego thing and they actually have the Lego?
No, the medieval Priory did not have a Lego exhibition, Joshua. Of course it didn't. So these are the ruins of the abbey. That square in the middle there is the cloister, which was an open garden surrounded by covered walkways where the canons could also write. Yeah, so they had all the abbey around the outside, but they also had their own little their own garden, which was open to the outside. Some medieval picnic benches. So you can see what they've done with they've actually built above the monastery building, which is where the actual museum is. Upstairs is the first floor exhibition, which I'll go and look at in a minute. So if we look over here, we can see some more of the old monastery. And this was where the kitchens and the refectory were. So these are the foundations of the medieval kitchens. They were rebuilt after a terrible fire in 1236, which damaged much of the priory. They had fireplaces, bread ovens and stone water cisterns supplied by lead pipes. Oh, that doesn't sound good. So interestingly, where these picnic benches are is the foundations of the refectory where the canons ate their meals. So whilst I made jokes about there being medieval picnic benches, it was actually where the medieval monks would eat their dinner. They were monks, they were canons. I think the difference between monks and canons were canons used to stay on site, but don't quote me on that. I think I read that earlier. Not 100% certain. So over here is the herb garden, I believe. Don't think we're in February right now, so I doubt very much there'll be too much in the way of herbs. Yes, this is the herb garden, a medieval style herb garden, which has been recreated here at the Priory. And right here at the back of the herb garden is this statue. So this is a statue of a kneeling monk doing some gardening. I'm pretty certain this avenue will look a lot nicer in the summertime when the trees, in spring and the summer when the trees are in bloom. Now over here, this is the Georgian summer house. There is also a Victorian summer house further on inside the Priory. However, that is currently closed. But this is the Georgian summer house. Doesn't really look much like a house. It does look very Georgian though. So this here is the monastic drain. So this drain was built in the 14th century, replacing an earlier flat-base drain. It serviced the Redotta, a communal toilet or latrine, as well as taking roof water and waste from the kitchen. Interesting. So here's some more of the, so this would have been the actual chapel itself, I believe. Let's have a look. So yeah, so this would have been the Priory Church here. And the church was the most important building in the Priory, obviously. The centre of the cross shape is the choir, where the canons would sing psalms and pray 8 times each day. And a bell tower stood above that spot. So the only part of the church that was accessible to the outside community was the nave, which is the long shaft of the cross, which is this bit here. So this part here is the northwest chapel, and it contained the burials of many wealthy benefactors of Norton Priory, including the Dutton family, who we saw a lot about in the museum. The stone coffins were covered with carved lids, sometimes bearing symbols which reflected the life of the person buried here. This chapel was built in the 13th and 14th and extended in the 14th century. There's a coffin lid here, by the looks of things. Hasn't been excavated though. So here are some more of the. So this is where like foundations of the church, the walls and stuff like that. And here are some of the graves that have been excavated. So that knight we saw in the museum, his body would have been buried here at one stage. This one is all on its own. Nothing else around it, no other burials around it. So that makes my hypothesis on this one is that it was a very important person who was buried here. Someone either high up in the clergy or perhaps one of the rich benefactors. Maybe William Dutton himself. Lord Dutton. If this is the Duttons who own Yellowstone. Ah, so over here we've got some more graves, possible graves, but these ones have got iron on top of them to stop people from falling in. Either that, or to stop the zombies from getting out. Who knows? This is a nice view of the Priory in its current state. And this bit here, in front of us, would have been the chapter house where the canons met for their daily meeting, setting out the tasks. Over here is some tarpaulin over what appears to be an area that they're currently doing some archaeological digs on. This part of the Priory was called the East Range, and it had the dormitory on the upper floor, and all the canons except the prior and the abbot slept in one communal room. At the northern end of the range, close to the chapter house, was the staircase, and the foundations for this can still be seen, marking out a roughly semicircular. So that's that there. That's the staircase there. So Norton Priory is quite a good little museum actually, and it looks like it'd be really, really nice to visit in the sunshine in the summer. It's not quite as nice in the winter, but at least it's not raining for us. But I can imagine this would be a lovely place to come for an afternoon, have a picnic and explore the gardens. So I think round here, I'm sure I just heard somebody messing about with a bell. Get the impression it was probably that ghost up ahead. If you look ahead of us in the distance, you can just about see the figure of a hooded monk underneath those trees. Oh my God, it's an actual monk walking in the distance. So this is a replica of a medieval bell. Should we ring it and see how it sounds like? Wow, that was loud. It's really loud, Ollie. Pull it towards you. No, you just pull it towards you. Wow, that is loud. Right, so this bell is a replica of the medieval bell cast at Norton Priory. During the excavation of the outer courtyard of the Priory in 1976, the remains of the bell were discovered. The bell had been cast in a large pit, at the bottom of which was about 200 fragments of mould lay scattered, and it proved to be possible to reassemble the mould from the fragments so they could recast it. However, this one has got a slightly different thing on it, because I don't think that Elizabeth II was medieval. So over there is a nature play area, which we will be avoiding because it's the winter and it's very muddy. On the right hand side is a play area. It's a good little play area for the kids. And there we have Oliver relaxing. The adventure course, the obstacle course is not active. So whilst you think that this bit over here is over to the left hand side of the Priory, it is in fact the middle, because it is the dead centre of the Priory. This is a model of what the Priory would have looked like in its heyday. It was founded in 1134 when the canons moved here from their old site in Runcorn. And you can see here is the garden with the cloisters around the outside that we saw the ruins for out there. So this is a replica of the kitchens here at the Priory, with people making their meals. So here's a display of a lot of the artifacts that have been discovered here at the Priory. And this here is some stained glass from the 19th century. red deer antler. A 17th century clay pipe. Some more of the artifacts. So some pottery and some medieval ceramics. This here is the game book which we saw earlier on, the front cover of one. But this recorded predators caught and trespassers on the Norton Priory estate. And then there's some traps used for small mammals by the gamekeepers here at the Priory. This is a model of the mid-18th century mansion that the Brooke family built to replace the Tudor house. It had 30 bedrooms along with a library and a ballroom for entertaining. Extensions were added in the 19th century, and in 1864 a new porch was built and the medieval undercroft was developed into an entrance hall. The Brooke family left Norton Priory in 1920 and the mansion was demolished in 1928, leaving only the medieval undercroft and Victorian porch. That's what it would look like in 1900. How odd that it was completely destroyed. So over my left shoulder you can see the Mars installation by Jerram. This is one of the reasons why we came to Norton Priory today. But we've had a nice little afternoon. It's quite interesting. There's a decent museum here. There's some entertainment for the kids and there's a play area outside. I suspect it would be better to come in the summer just because you could have a picnic and enjoy the outside a bit more. But would I recommend coming here? Yeah. Enjoyed ourselves. Thank you. You have been watching Munchy Road Hippopotamus. Thank you for joining us in our adventures. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy our channel and tell us about any adventures that you have in the comments below. Get out there and explore your world.